Okay. Now, now we're recording. It's episode 56 of Inane Blather. I screwed up earlier, but it's only so that I can start the episode with a little bit of laughter. I like having that. It's a good vibe, especially after what has happened, because Natalie is no longer with us for this episode. She was fired, and... And so
she has
Emily,
been replaced.
Yes, she has been replaced by Emily, which is an AI that I wrote myself. It'll just be responding to me throughout the episode. It's really what everyone was asking for. I got a lot of DMs on Twitter asking, what is that woman? What is that female doing on the podcast when you just talk the whole time anyway? I said, I don't know, right? No, no, but... Emily's on the podcast today for funsies. And yeah, introduce yourself, Emily. Who are you?
Like you said, I'm just an AI bot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I was trying to
will be intermittently interjecting. With,
yeah.
Woo!
I was trying to get you into like some sort of existential loop crisis as an AI. Like, but who are you really? No,
man, like on Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that bot for? I forget what they were doing though.
But yeah.
He's like, but I programmed you to do that.
Yes, that's right. Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I'll have to go. Man, I got to go back and rewatch that problematic fave, Rick and Morty. Oh, but regardless.
It was a confusing one.
As we're starting episode 56, Emily is one of us. She is a listener. She won a sweepstakes contest to get on the show. It doesn't matter that she happens to be our sister. And
nepotism is alive and well.
She's a Nepo baby.
Nepo baby.
And all because she is also...
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
She is jerks. But
I am the jerks part.
But yeah.
And also cross-dressing.
Yes, exactly. Emily just happens to host Drag Queen Story Hour. She is not a drag queen, and she also doesn't know how to read, but it's anything to hurt conservative feelings. So, But you listen to the show, right, Emily?
Yeah, I'm actually only a couple episodes behind.
Ooh, only
but I
a couple.
saved them. Yeah, but I saved them so I could listen to them on my way back.
Yeah,
actually,
back.
I listened to one or two of them on the way here.
Way back
from Vegas.
to Vegas. Yeah. What's the? Tell me, Emily. Tell me, what's the political climate? No. No.
All right.
Let me.
Dead air.
Vegas. I love it down there. How long have you lived?
This is a political show?
No.
I
not
think I'm
really.
in the wrong studio.
Yeah, I mean, not really.
It always ends up going
bitch.
But it started off as a political show, but I was actually just thinking of that the other day when I was editing one of the shows and just listening to what we were talking about. I was like, didn't we start off this show like quoting Adam Smith or some shit like that? It's like
I thought it was more like not political, but always has a political tone.
Yeah. It's
undertone and overtone and undercurrent.
Yes.
And riptide.
And overcurrents.
and waterfall.
And goes over current events and not so current events with an undercurrent of an overtone of political apoliticalness. So,
well said.
Yes. Yeah. That really sums it up because, I mean, it is Inane Blather. So.
Blather.
We named it that for a reason. But regardless, we still try to highlight, the fact that
capitalism is bad.
And
mental illness is when you're right wing.
So Ben Shapiro is our hero. And so it will tend towards political talk. But let's stop being meta. Honestly, Yeah, Vegas is kind of funny. I mean, just the state that you live in and stuff. Like, it's just a massive western state that everyone just lives in one place.
And only one city is blue, basically.
Yeah,
Vegas.
and
whereas Reno, is totally right wing.
is it?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's.
Is it
I
the
think so.
Spokane of Nevada kind of thing?
It's like, yeah. I mean,
How
probably.
many times?
It's very rural.
I've never
It's
even
more
been
rural.
to Reno.
I've never been there either.
Oh.
It's actually like 8 hours away. It's pretty far. It's up there. It's up there.
Yeah,
It's a lot colder.
it's funny. Us growing up in the Western United States, how it just blows my mind how close together everything is on the East Coast, and where so many
Yeah.
of the people are, and all that.
Yeah.
And I've never been over there. I've never been to New York City or Philadelphia or any of the stuff like in the Northeast. But just
The most
hearing people
East Coast-
talk about it, where they're like, I was
Yeah.
just listening to Come Town yesterday, some old episode, and Stavros was like, yeah, it's weird growing up in Maryland. You just think that, he says, I took a gig once because they said, well, it's in Virginia. And it's like, okay, I'll take a gig in Virginia because it's right next door. He's like, but Virginia's huge. You don't realize that. He's like, the thing was like 4 hours away, because it was over on like the western tip
That's
or
it?
something. I'm like, 4 hours? It's like, yeah.
That
so
is nothing.
It's like if I drove
could get
to Olympia from here.
Yeah. Honestly, it's kind of cool being in Vegas because 4 hours could mean you're in San Diego. It could
Yeah.
be Phoenix. Yeah. It could be Utah. There's,
I
a
wanna
lot
go
of
to
places you can do.
Phoenix.
Yeah, I've been
I want to
through
go to a
with
lot of
Natalie.
places. Yeah.
San Diego's awesome.
People
like,
from
it's just
Phoenix
a
are
day
called
drive.
Phoenicians. San Diego.
Phoenicians. San Diego's awesome.
Yeah. San Diego was just a haze for me, though. Of course, we went down, me and my buddy, when I was
When you went to
18.
Mexico.
Yeah. And it was
I just had this
literally
conversation.
just a haze of California dispensary weed and getting lost. And like at one point we were literally just trying to find a place to, like, I think we'd already got our Motel 6. And then we were like, I think there's a Jack in the Box down there. And then we ended up driving back and forth over like the bridge. And it's like, what? We're going to SeaWorld again? We were so stoned until I went to just take a U-turn. And so I pulled into this big lot so that there'd be a place to turn around, and I realized I was pulling into the front entrance of the naval base and like pulled in, and so then you couldn't back up, and the guy
they're,
at the
like,
booth
carding you.
the guy at the booth was like, what are you doing? I was like, I wanted to turn around, we're trying to find Jack in the Box. And he just rolled his eyes. He's like, okay, just turn around over here, just leave, it's right down the street, it's right down Rosencrantz. I was like, okay, sorry.
And you end up back at the naval base again.
The next day,
Is this Jack in the Box?
the next day in a smoky haze, like literally turning the wrong way down a one-way street in San Diego and having to flip the car around really fast as I saw 4 lanes of traffic heading directly towards us.
Oh my goodness.
But it was a beautiful city.
It
And
is. It's very, very relaxed,
Yeah.
very laid back. I
Yeah.
went and visited a friend like a few months ago, and it was just, it might be, can be kind of a big city, but it's definitely not like that vibe.
I hear it's kind of
It's-
it's more conservative than you would imagine, though, is what I've heard.
I honestly don't
because it's not like
know.
Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's probably not big enough to be like LA, but you would. Well,
But it's
yeah,
rich-
and it's on the
it's
water.
really
It's got a bunch of
rich.
rich white people. So what
That's
do you
what
think?
happens. Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
it's even if the people that would consider themselves liberal, I mean, they're
They're
rich
still
people
business owning-
living in California, and they have right-wing beliefs because they see homeless people. So they're like, well, I mean, they should all be exterminated, But I'm a
I pay
liberal.
for this.
I'm a liberal.
Yeah.
I just think that unhoused people are disgusting. I don't want to see them.
And should die.
Yeah.
They're like, I pay for this $3,000 a month flat. It's 500 square feet. I don't want to see homeless
Yeah,
people.
I'm rich enough
That's
that I
probably-
call it a
yeah.
flat. So,
It is basically.
Mm-hmm.
It's a studio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's
I forget, maybe I was talking to Natalie about it. It was either I was talking to Natalie about it and it was our original thoughts, or I was just listening to R.M. Brown. I forget, but...
they're
just-
one and the same.
Yeah. We pretty much talk back and forth in sound bites.
I hate women.
But that wasn't
Me
R.M.
too.
Brown. But yeah, we generally just go back and forth with a bunch of...
Inane Blather.
Because...
It's because you're an honorless, lying little turd.
Ha! Yes.
That's what I live my life by.
Yeah, we kicked Natalie off the podcast and put you on, and we were just like...
Owned. Consider yourself owned because
you are. But
Owned.
but
It's so funny because at work now, a lot of times when I'm just standing around, I'm like, boring. Anyone?
Yeah, anyone? Hello.
Inane Blather.
It's the longest running. What the heck? Where is it? Oh,
Boring.
yeah.
My favorite.
That Doug guy? Wow, what a piece of shit.
That's everyone else's favorite, but yeah, that's your favorite one. Is Homer's
I say
boring?
it. Well,
yeah.
work can be boring when it's not
True.
busy.
Yeah, it's-
boring. I'm
it's
just
funny.
standing there waiting for customers.
Yeah, it's funny and
Yeah.
applicable to everyday life.
Boring.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, it's
Fucking stupid F-word bitch.
Oh, all the time. Every night at work.
yeah,
That's
they're like,
what I talk
why
about.
would you say that? You're like,
This is politics.
hello.
Because they are stupid.
Oh yeah, so
I work at a bar,
We-
so
we
there's
were-
a little backstory.
we were talking about the way that people view the unhoused, but in
Similar
side
in
note,
Vegas, though.
I
still.
say both. I don't understand like insisting on unhoused or homeless. I mean, insisting on it and saying that you shouldn't call people homeless really
I think 'cause
feels
it gets
like
a bad
one of those. Yeah, but it feels like one of those
connotation.
manufactured libtard things where it's like the same type of people who, you know, say that you should call people Latinx, and it's like you're just a
What is
white.
that?
You're a white person. It just feels like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's like
I've never heard Latin X. Is that like Latino?
you haven't.
Latino?
Oh my god,
Vegas
That's one
is
of those.
not like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that they're not politically correct, but
SJW Town, USA. But
Yeah.
yeah,
they're
that-
all from East LA, anyways.
The it feels like the only time I hear Latinx now is just people talking about the fact that Latino people hate the term Latinx, but you know because of the gendered connotations of Latino versus Latina. I mean, I think it got brought up. I forget. Humberto was talking about it, and I forget
That's
what
what
their
Natalie
view
was saying.
was on it. But
They say they like Chicano, kind of, because
Sure.
they're from LA.
Well, that's
but it's,
more
if you don't
specific.
know,
it's
yeah,
like if you don't want it to
if
be
you don't
gendered,
know-
say Latin. It's like, I mean, and technically with
Latin's dead.
with the
It's
language
a dead language.
and with the language, Latino encompasses. It's like you just learn
Assuming
how
gender,
Spanish
yeah.
works, but it's not. If it's a group that's more,
It's a general
that's multiple
term.
genders. You end with the masculine. That's just the way that the language
Otherwise,
works.
language would be all over the place, and you wouldn't understand anything.
Yes.
You're like,
It's
so
like,
what is it?
This shouldn't be hard.
Yeah.
Spanish is relatively easy if you know English. You just have to learn it. You know, it's a simpler, not in a bad way. It's just a simpler language to learn. It has rules
It's
that
a
they
love
follow.
language.
It's great. I love it.
It is. The only
But-
thing that I always forget
It
is
doesn't
the
have made up
masculine and
shit
feminine.
like Latinx.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. You know, I want to say
Most of the time, you just ask what people where they're from. Like, oh, I'm Salvadorian. I'm Colombian. I'm Venezuelan. There's a lot.
You do that to
There's
people.
a
You're
lot of
like,
them.
yeah, but where are you really from? No.
Natalie doesn't like saying
I'm from
Hispanic,
Henderson?
but
No, where are you
Yeah.
really from? Where were
Where
you
do you
born?
originate
Or
from?
Los Angeles? No, but where are you from?
my mom's vagina.
That's that. the classic microaggression.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with unhoused people, it's just
I still say homeless.
I feel like the separation with people's views on the crisis that is homelessness and unhoused people in major cities. I mean, it's something that that leftists need to deal with. You need to have an opinion on this. Because it's like it's the result of so many issues, including stupid liberals
Capitalism.
too. But it's capitalism and wealth inequality and the
Classism.
housing crisis itself. Housing prices, but it's a really we're recording this in the morning instead of at night. I'm putting myself together here, but it's
trust me, I work at night, so I had to get up early. I had to go get a coffee, and I'm smoking my vape.
You
So
had to
it's
get up
just
early,
caffeine
like 10
and tobacco.
No.
I got up at 9:30.
I'm just it's an easy. I'm trying to say something like a topic of discussion to reveal right-wing tendencies in normal people because of how visceral it can be when, especially if you're someone who's not living in a large city. I mean, it's like understandable. I can empathize with people who have a reactionary take on homelessness because, someone that's like from my town, you take your kids to a Mariners game or something, and there are homeless people just sleeping on the street. You're walking around people. There's tent cities and stuff like that. It's one thing to, a good person, a leftist. Of course, your immediate first reaction is, "Oh my God, that's so sad." That's why I'm so always so proud of my wonderful child. That's one of her first things. Like, what would you do with $1 million? Her answer is always like, give homeless people houses, kind of thing. And seeing that, it's like, oh my gosh, that's so sad. But it's something that for normies, and especially for older people, liberals, and of course conservatives, but fuck what they think. It's like, it's kind of this marker. Once you encounter that or have to think about the homelessness crisis in these large cities, it's like, what is your very broad gut reaction solution to this? I'm not asking for a policy. What is that? Because that's what really separates, like, the fascist right from anything left of center is that, it really boils down to someone on the right. Their reaction is, it's like, how would you solve homelessness? By there not being any homeless people anymore. Now,
moving them around.
Anything
like
to the left
Native
of
Americans.
that, anything to the left of that, how would you solve homelessness? Oh, by giving them homes, by putting them in homes. Because the reactionary thought is it leads down this path of it's like, so how? Yeah, are you going to move them around? You just want to move them out of sight? Are you going to literally exterminate them? All your solution is just that you don't want homeless people. And it's like the other side of the coin is I don't want people to not have homes. And it's a very different approach to the problem. That's a very broad thing. I don't know. I'm rambling now.
I want people to be
housed,
mentally healthy enough to maintain a home.
Yeah.
So I think that a good start would be universal health care.
Ooh, yeah.
And Nevada is awful. I will say that right now. It's like the worst healthcare system.
Really?
Coming from Washington to there, if you think it's bad in Washington, Nevada was like, I was trying to get, I'm a single mom, and when I moved there, I was really poor. And I was trying to get Medicaid. And
hold on one sec. I know we've already got 20 minutes of this. Hold on just one sec. I'm not going to cut this out either. It's just, you can keep talking, but I won't be listening for a sec. Just one sec. Oh, I'm such an audiophile. That is going to bug the crap out of me, as I'm going to have background noise in my track for that entire first 20 minutes. But, okay. So, healthcare, single mom.
Yeah, moving there to begin with, I was trying to get Medicaid.
Yeah.
Healthcare. And it was like, I told the woman there, I was like, what do I have to do? Do I have to live in a box in order for you to help me? And she was like, basically. And I'm like, okay, so I have to go backwards and backwards and backwards. You know, I'm already poor.
Yeah.
Like, I was making like $1,500 a month.
Ooh.
Working, yeah,
It's
I
like
was
minimum
working
wage.
like $12 an hour.
Oh.
After 2 raises actually. So it was like 11 something to start with.
Oh my God.
And I was working in a hospital.
I can't imagine living on that.
12 hours a shift, taking care of rich people's family members.
People that have
That's the funny
healthcare.
thing where people that have healthcare, to put them in post-acute rehab, where they get physical therapy and occupational therapy and stuff before they go home.
Boring.
It's like,
no, I'm just kidding.
exactly. I could never go back to
funny.
that work. It's like,
it just reminds me of like it's like, what happened to the benevolent capitalist idea pushed by like Henry Ford that, oh, I want the people that are working on said product on this product to be able to afford to buy said product and be a purchaser of it. And all of these people that work in healthcare and healthcare related things, people that work for insurance companies, but then they can't afford any of this crap. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, and
it's like, don't you want everybody to use it?
Yeah.
You want everybody to use this.
Like, no,
But there's this whole air of, and I even worked in a doctor's office, this whole idea of like, people on Medicaid are
scum,
are not people. Yeah, because in the doctor's office, it was like, all right, we have to. I know Natalie brought it up in one of the episodes actually, because I had told her about this, about pushing back people's surgeries that had Medicaid. And it was like the hospital would tell us, we can't accept any more Medicaid patients, so you'll have to postpone them till next month or the month after, and we're only accepting private insurance. And I'm like, people with private insurance can't afford their insurance either.
Yeah.
They can't afford their deductibles. They can't afford their co-pays. It's just because their company offers it and they have to accept it. So I feel like step one is healthcare for sure, because people need their medication.
I don't know why this isn't just a constant. I mean, it comes up during every presidential election. It's like, why isn't this coming up every fucking day? Like, it's crazy. I mean, I live in Washington. We have some of the better services and stuff, and it still sucks. I'm uninsured right now. And it's like,
and I've seen the difference. And Washington
was
like
for
a
Medicaid.
relief.
Yeah, when I qualified for Medicaid because family of 4. I mean, and even knowing that it's like I make a decent living, I'm in a good spot. I'm kind of privileged compared to people that are really struggling. But I just barely qualify for all this stuff, and having that saved my fucking life. Like, I mean, I don't know if you were around the first time before I had to have surgery and stuff. And that first time through, when I was on private insurance, that cost my employer, it cost me like $375 a month. And then I ended up having medical debt, going to collections, and people yelling at me. Like, I was talking to this lady, it's really, I feel like it was a turning point towards going left. I mean, ended up in the emergency room for all this stuff. I went through the most painful experience of my entire life, I
remember that.
And then finally getting a surgery to correct it, at least temporarily. And I mean, I remember even setting up the surgery where they're like, she's like, okay, well, I think, your deductible, I'm not sure if your deductible's reached or this and that. You have to figure out with your insurance. You may have to bring in $1,000 to cover that deductible. And I was like, what do you mean I might have to bring in $1,000? I don't have $1,000. what should I do? What do you mean? Do I have to bring $1,000 or not? And it was like, well, it depends on your insurance. I'm like, what the fuck does this even
But you
mean?
have
I don't
my
even know what this
insurance.
surgery costs. You don't have a fucking menu up behind there, seeing how much, a surgery or a double surgery with cheese, add bacon for 50 cents or something. It's like,
and it would make it easier on the hospital too if it were all universal healthcare. They wouldn't be like, okay, well, maybe you can have this or not,
would
and
make
then they
it
can just go back to their job
on everyone.
because they're not an in between for your insurance, which is what they have to do on top of their job.
But
so they have like people checking people's insurance
that whole
in the hospital,
bureaucratic
and
infrastructure.
the steps you have to take, and they're just insurance companies are sharks. It's just crazy.
It's disgusting.
Like you think being sick, like everybody's rich, and then when I get sick, I can just pay for it, like unnecessary surgery. I get like
insurance company CEOs.
Cosmetics.
Go kill yourself. Go sit in the middle of the road and let a car run over you.
Yes.
And big pharma, but
well,
you know
and
what,
then
my friend
after I got the
actually-
surgery, the thing is, so I got the surgery. It was scary, and I still had to go through a year of not fun stuff. And my doctor sucked. I hated him. And all of this stuff. I mean, it's just, and it's scary. It's scary as a man when you have to have your penis worked on. All right. That's all I'll say for people. Your urethra and having prostatitis and all this stuff. And like,
non-cosmetic.
I felt not very supported by any of it. And then on top of that, so then I get a bill afterwards. I get one bill for an anesthetologist or whatever. I'm like, what? I thought this was part of the surgery. Nope, that's separate. You have to pay for the room that they're in. You have to pay the anesthesiologist, and you have to pay the surgeon.
Anesthesiologist is expensive,
and it's like,
too.
So I barely paid that, and then I get a bill for the rest of what I had to cover for the surgery, and I was like, I can't pay that. And so then the lady's calling me up and like, so how do you want to pay it? I was like, I can't pay it. I don't have $3,800, and it's like, well, and she ended up getting mad at me. She's like, well, I don't know why you think that if you can't cover these costs, you can just go in and use these services if you're not going to be able to pay for it. Like, she was getting mad at me. And I was like on the verge of tears, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I couldn't live day to day with what was happening.
Would have like eventually died from like kidney failure with stuff like that.
It's like my bladder could have burst. And like
she wanted you to die.
Yes, and it's like, lady,
that's
looking
the
back
idea,
on
where
it,
it's like,
lady, you're
how
on
do you have
my
the nerve
side.
to be sick?
Have some solidarity here, you idiot. Like, you're
Why
collecting
are you in healthcare
payments for but
that's when you take out that aspect of it too. It's like people that have compassion and a passion for other people should be in healthcare. They're smashing the compassion. These other people are just kind of,
and you're driving a monster truck over a
insurance company.
Go kill yourself. Go sit in the middle of the road
Let a
and let
monster
a car
truck run over you. But
but it's kind of like if they took that part away, she would have, been able to maybe do her job better as a nurse, or whoever it was calling you, where it's like, she probably wasn't a nurse.
No.
But some office
office bitch. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
But
where it's like, you have zero compassion for people that are sick.
Ugly,
it's like, how dare you have problems?
I'm going to kill you.
Yeah. Where it's like, and even me just trying to make excuses, like, I don't know what to tell you.
It's like, not an excuse.
I was like, I have two cars and they're both broken down right now. I remember I was going through a bunch of crap right then. She's like, why do you have multiple cars if you can't even pay for your surgeries? And I was like, oh my God. Like,
oh my God.
I'm raising a child.
That's an idea.
Like, and so then the second
that's another
time
thought about that
I had to go through the same stuff, it was a big hassle, but I was on state Medicaid because at that point we had 2 kids and I could qualify for all that. And
2
it
kids
went
and 8 cars.
so much better. Such a relief. I'm getting a call from Massachusetts. Should I answer it?
It's probably for that. It's probably for that that thing you won. That you
I won
you
a
applied
cruise.
for.
Oh my God, this is
I actually
perfect
answered
timing.
a phone call. I answered a phone call on accident from spam because I thought it was some call I was waiting for. And they were like, yeah, don't you remember you signed up for this thing that you won? I don't remember what
Yeah.
it was. I was like, yeah, I'm sure I would do that. And then I hung up on him. But it was like, no, I don't sign up for stuff.
Yeah. You're like,
No.
oh my God, I won a sweepstakes.
This is absolutely lit. This is lit.
You're like, oh, it's too bad I'm a headstrong,
I should've just kept
self-serving,
going.
quibbling, self-centered,
Yeah.
vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerk. Otherwise, I'd be able to do
I would
that.
have been like, should have just made him uncomfortable. How do you feel about the homeless situation in Nevada, sir?
Yeah, man. So what's that like in
it's bad
Las
in
Vegas?
Vegas.
Because it's so hot. I mean, it's kind of
That-
funny how it happens in all big cities, and that should kind of like be a
It's
teachable thing for
terrible.
people, where it's like there are homeless people on the streets in Chicago. And that's not an ideal
And
place to be
they
doing it.
freeze
so,
to death.
yes,
Yeah.
it's like, but
That's the other thing.
it is
the other side of the coin
understandable
is,
that there's so many more, and it's so much more visible in places like Los Angeles, San Francisco, where it's more
Where it's
temperate
nice
because
out.
you are
Yeah.
living without shelter. But
the thing is, like
Las
in
Vegas, oh
it's
my God.
bad. When I moved out there, I don't know, maybe it was like a year later. So it was years ago when I applied for this job at the coroner's office. And
At a corner, you got a corner office?
I got a corner office in a flat.
Yeah, got
the
that
coroner's
corpse
office.
money.
Yeah, they actually, a lot of people that would come in, obviously dead. They were homeless and
Can't wake
like
up
one of them
dead.
I remember, yeah. But if you go to bed alive, they were homeless. They would come in. I remember one specific, like, because I was job shadowing. It was a woman, and it was summertime, and her skin was like peeling off her body because
just
it was
totally
just so hot.
burned.
She just melted.
Oh my
It was like
God.
melting. Yeah, and it gets cold in Vegas, but it's not
Sure.
unbearable like Chicago. But in the summertime, it is unbearable. Yesterday
Yeah.
was 110 when one of my
And
friends
that's
was
nothing.
texting me, and that's it can be it can be like 115 for days in a row.
Yeah.
You know, and nighttime is still 105.
Yeah, that's
so
the
there's
thing.
no
There's no
escape
relief.
from it. There's no relief. And yeah, people's idea about homeless is the same, where it's like, oh, ugh, they're gross,
Yeah.
whatever. But when I used to work at the coffee stand, I'd get a couple people that would come up every once in a while, and my boss was like, stop giving, drinks to homeless people. They're going to keep coming back, which wasn't really the case. It would be just different people every once in a while walk up, and I would give them like water and I'd cover it. I'd give them a glass of milk. I'm like, if you're going to be out there, you might as well have some calories
Yeah.
in you. Like
And
one
I
little
can do
cup
that
would
easily
be like
for
50
you.
cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can do that. Like I can give it to you and they move along. But it's like, who am I to say no? It's already 107
Yeah.
degrees out by that time.
It's
and
honestly like inaction
sad.
should make you feel guilty if you're a good person. Like
Yeah,
inaction
it really does.
is like
But
killing
you see
someone.
so many. I can't.
Yeah.
every day I can't give to every person
Exactly.
I see on the street
That's
corner.
what governments are for. Because we can't
shouldn't-
individually help every single person we see because we live under capitalism. So there are a lot of people that need help. So
Yeah, and that's what we donate to things for. But
yeah, charities
It's
are
pretty
a
bad.
racket
There
to
is,
keep the capitalist status quo going and make you feel like there are solutions for these problems that we can contribute to individually when we cannot. It is a collective solution for systemic issues require systemic solutions. And that's just the way
and
it goes.
even us, we're making more money now. But it's like I would never, without Medicaid, I'd never be able to pay for healthcare where it's like $1,000 a month for private insurance, and I'd be like,
Yeah.
no, I can't do that.
Mine-
Sure, on your list, I'm making enough money, but what? I don't get offered because I'm part-time. I don't get offered insurance. So then what do you want me to do?
I work full time.
I'm cusping
have
it.
these
I'm on the
benefits
cusp.
that I could have through work. I make decent money
they're too
compared to
expensive.
many people, but it's like,
Yeah.
if I wanted to do that and have my kid on there, it would be $950 out of each paycheck. And I'm like,
Mine was when I
what
was at
the
the
fuck?
hospital.
It's like
it
I
was
make
700
decent
something.
money. I get
Yeah.
$2,000 in a paycheck. I mean, it's not decent money when it really comes down to it, but it's more than a lot of people are making around
But
here.
it's more than we used to make anyways.
Yeah.
Like that's about right. So and it's like, okay,
damn.
but then if I
What's the point of
have
this?
to pay for
so
it.
they still have a fucking deductible.
Yeah.
If something
Exactly.
happens.
That's what I was gonna say. And a copay, and you gotta pay for your meds, and you gotta like Medicaid when it works well.
No, I
is,
just
like,
had to
a
purchase
savior.
fucking medication. We talked about it. And it's like,
Yeah, that's why I
because
was
it's like, I
it's-
can't imagine just suddenly just not having SSRIs anymore. I mean, I don't want to be all woe is me, but that's very bad for you. It's
And
like-
people don't understand where it's like, well, I don't want to pay for other people, like with universal health care.
You
right?
already do.
I don't want to pay.
You have insurance.
You do,
That's
but
the whole
I don't
point.
want to pay for other people's shit. And it's like, well,
Why not?
even if everybody did, even if our taxes went to that, some of it, even if everybody paid for it, you know what? There'd be less homeless
Yes.
because you're paying for their medication, and then you wouldn't be bitching about them being homeless.
Yeah.
And then they'd be, productive, and they'd be happier, and they'd probably have a place to stay. I feel like you had told me this story a long time ago where they housed a guy in an apartment, paid for it, and
Yes.
he started making money, and you end up giving back to the community, whatever it is, instead of taking 20 grand a year out of the hospitals or
Oh, it
whatever.
was way more.
Yeah.
So that's
I
a
couldn't remember what it
classic
was, but-
article.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that earlier, but that's Salt Lake City was one of the first big programs in just straight up housing people. They actually
Yeah.
started doing that. I mean, I have a right wing friend that would constantly complain about the homeless in Spokane, and they started doing a similar thing. But yeah, so it's come here and there, but people are like, what? Just they don't have to do anything, and you're just paying for their apartments. It's just straight up, you give them an apartment. And it costs less because. So here's the thing.
Then for them to be homeless because they're going to the
Because
hospital for injuries and
and there is a small segment. It's almost like a true Pareto principle kind of thing, where it's like 10% of the homeless population are the people that cost the most in terms of resources and all that, because they are people that have been homeless for 10 to 15 years or something like that. The issue is with all the people that you end up seeing living in tents and stuff like that, they aren't lifetime unhoused people. The thing is, a 2021 study from the University of Chicago estimates that 53% of people living in homeless shelters and 40% of unsheltered people were employed. They have jobs, and it's like, and they just.
I actually
you're
work with
in-
someone that is homeless
Yes,
right now.
people live in their cars and
Yeah.
stuff. It's like, that's the type of thing where it's like, this is straight up just capitalism's fault. It's like because you're in this position where you're barely surviving, and social mobility is not achievable. Like, you need to literally come across a $10,000 scratch off ticket or something like that to be able to
Especially moving
to
in.
get out of the cycle,
Yeah.
so that you can keep
Yeah.
a status quo that's slightly above that. And
Because moving costs is it cost
Yeah.
me maybe $4,500 to move out of my apartment and into the place I'm at now.
And imagine
because I had
imagine
to
what one of
I had
these
to pay-
employed unhoused people. What do you think their credit score is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even me, it's like I
And they're
live
paying
paycheck
for
to
insurance.
paycheck, and
So,
because I
yeah.
have a bad credit score, I'm pretty sure this is exactly why, because I have a bad credit score. Suddenly they just decided to triple my homeowner's insurance premium for the year. I was like, why? I didn't file any claims.
So why would that make sense?
I didn't file any claims. Nothing happened. But it went from $759 for the year, which is why I chose them, to $2,100. And I was like,
and why would they think that makes sense?
Like, what the fuck,
Especially if
man?
you have a bad credit
it's like,
score.
Are you just trying to take my house? And it's like, it is just one of those things. I'm just one of those poor Americans that still is so lucky to have support and a halfway decent job and wealthier parents, and it's still difficult because these things put you back, and I can't get a leg up, you know? So that if something goes wrong, if suddenly I lose my insurance and I need to get medication, it's like, if I didn't have this help that I'm lucky to have because I'm a privileged white man in America, like, I would eventually be living in my fucking car, even though I have a job and a fucking degree, you know?
Yeah, and I've known people like that. People that have done so many amazing things with their lives, and they have been homeless at one point.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, people that I'm not going to name names, but it's like
Jerry.
Grammy award-winning artists. Like,
And
seriously,
Susan. Oh, sorry. I'm just naming names, but
yeah.
Owned.
Yeah, they're like artists, like people that if I was like, oh yeah, they did this, this, and this, you'd be like, wow, that's crazy. And they've been homeless before.
Yeah.
And that's funny because they were taking care of a family member that needed health care and didn't have the money for it. Their mom didn't have the money, so they had to pay for all this like stuff, and then they became homeless, and then it's hard to get out of that homelessness. And they weren't mentally ill or anything like that. But it's
you talk
capitalism.
about, I was going to say at the very beginning, it's like things like healthcare and social programs can help keep people from becoming unhoused or, you know, sliding down the social mobility ladder, but also becoming homeless can cause mental health issues. Both of these things happen.
It's a cycle.
Yeah, it's like both can happen to the same person, both can happen to separate people. Like, imagine how do you think you would feel, asshole? You know, you're talking to someone's like, if suddenly you're living in your car and you're barely surviving in the richest fucking country in the history of humanity, you know?
Yeah. Stress can really trigger a lot of mental illness too. So even if you weren't before, is like this can
on top of that,
can trigger like
mental illness is when you're right wing.
So I mean,
exactly.
Then you've got all these.
Don't be mentally ill.
You got all these fascist homeless people. No.
So is it when you turn right wing you become mentally ill, or when you're mentally ill all of a sudden you're right wing?
It's just equals. Mental illness is
they're equals.
Being right wing.
Yeah.
So
So come to the left.
Yeah. So and your schizophrenia will be cured.
Come
it will be
socialism.
it'll be applauded. No. But
yeah.
So let's I think we'll do another one soon, right? Hopefully. But if not, because you know, instead of this is about a normal episode length, but I just had a random. Let's shift gears. I had a random little article that really spoke to me that I thought you might like, and it's the entire thing is written about the fact that
Natalie hates non-binary people,
and I think we need to talk about it.
And we all know this is true.
I mean, Pride Month is over, and she took down the pride flag and just put up a swastika. I couldn't believe it. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
right
she's
next
not
to the
here right now,
Confederate
so we
flag.
can say whatever we want. It's the internet. It's just lie.
Oh, that's why we watched Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah, she got the wrong message from that. I've never seen that, but I've heard, something about...
Oh, man, it was great.
Yeah, she's told me that it was really good. She's like, I love Nazis, so it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Is it
It's
animated?
like, wait, what? This was against?
Or what is it?
No.
I'm thinking of a
It's
different
not
one.
even really like... Yeah, it's not even... You should just
I
watch
know.
it,
I've heard a discourse about it before. So
it's about
I
a
should.
little boy.
Yeah, she's
it's
described
about a
it to
little
me.
boy.
So, but speaking of movies, this is the title is "Fucking Loser at Movie All by Himself." And it's got a picture of a guy
It was
in an
me.
empty movie theater.
It was me.
Sources are confirming that a sad fucking loser, who many speculate has no friends or anyone in his life to talk to, is currently attending a 1:30 p.m. screening of the film Red 2 all by himself. The poor bastard reportedly purchased his single ticket from a kiosk inside the theater complex, ordered a medium popcorn, a pack of Twizzlers, and a medium Diet Coke from the concession stand, then proceeded to meticulously scout out a seat near the front of the theater where, according to the pathetic dork, quote, nobody really bothers you. I just thought this was great. And it cuts deep.
Hits home.
Yeah. Quote, I like going to movies alone.
I resemble that.
Especially during the day when it's not too crowded, said the sad man, who attended the first Red movie by himself 3 years ago, just last week saw World War Z alone, and, good Christ, made plans with himself to see Before Midnight on opening day last month. Quote, it's relaxing. I'm not expecting too much from Red 2, but it should be fun. Added the heartbreakingly defeated man, whose sources believe must have given up on meaningful relationships long ago. Quote, I think Catherine Zeta-Jones is in this one. Staring utterly and completely alone at the movie screen in front of him, onlookers confirmed that the man opened his pack of Twizzlers, began eating them one by one, and seemed visibly engaged with the pre-movie trivia, as well as the behind-the-scenes look at the new Showtime series Ray Donovan. In a sight that many later called devastating, the sad-as-hell individual who wasn't sharing his movie-going experience with anyone was the only one in the theater to laugh out loud at the preview for Martin Scorsese's The Wolf of Wall Street and looked visibly surprised and intrigued when the words, directed by Woody Allen, appeared toward the end of the trailer for Blue Jasmine. In addition, sources confirmed the poor son of a bitch acted slightly upset, as if his movie-going experience had been disturbed, when he had to sit up in his chair and make room for two other patrons who wanted to get by him to get to their seats. I like the previews, said the man, who, deep inside, must be fucking miserable. I don't care when there are a lot of them. At night, sometimes I'll just sit alone on my bed and watch movie trailers on my computer. Sometimes I wish that the film that was about to come on the movie screen were one of the ones from the previews. Wouldn't that be cool if that happened once? The man continued, in what reports indicate could possibly be one of the most utterly pathetic sentences ever uttered by a human being.
Was this you?
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
No, I've never seen the movie Red or Red 2. The man
actually is Red.
One of these. The man also took care to shut off his cell phone and place it in the backpack on the seat next to his, which, witnesses confirmed, made it seem as if the backpack was his closest friend.
Hold this for me.
At the end here, it was okay. The man, who has reportedly reached an old enough age where it's not inconceivable that he'll be alone all his life. Nothing special. That was his review of the movie.
I think I've seen the first one.
This one. At press time, the heartbreaking loser had entered his apartment, sat on his couch, sighed, and turned on his television. That's one thing.
I don't remember the last time I went to a movie.
That's one thing all of you crazy leftists and feminists and all these people, it's one thing that unfortunately you've got missing if you're a child-free person, is that you will have someone. You will have someone. I am a sad, depressed, divorced man, but I have someone here right now that I could at least talk to, that I could at least watch a movie with every other week. That's you know.
I totally get that, because I've been a single mom for 11 years. It's great. Mm-hmm. It's great. I mean, I wouldn't say we're best friends. I'm not
Yeah,
that kind of
that's
mom,
not
but we
good.
definitely hang out.
That's not a good idea.
Yeah, we definitely hang out all the time. We all know where that
It
leads.
is nice having
best friends, but
because then it's at least funny
'Cause
looking at an article like that. It's like, especially when you don't
you get
have
to
your
spend
kid,
so much time.
and it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's been happening.
You
to
know
me.
what? I saw Buzz Lightyear alone,
Yeah.
because Adele she was out here last year, so, and I watched Bob's Burgers too, but we would have watched it together if she had been in town.
Oh, the Bob's
that was last
Burgers
year,
movie.
last summer.
Yeah, she went with me.
We
right?
watched that every.
Yeah.
I know, but we've seen it. We've seen every episode at least 3 times.
Oh yeah, when they come
and
out,
the
new,
older ones more so.
when they come out new,
I think
Sophia and I would watch it Sunday nights.
that latest episode was really good. Natalie watched it the other day here. It was so good.
Shout out
good.
Bob's Burgers.
You know, for real,
especially with
Bob's
their
Burgers. Best.
their ongoing progressive bettering of their takes on trans people. I saw
family life.
I saw a video about there's someone who, I think Lily Simpson does lots of videos on trans representation in media, and it was quite a war zone in the comments when she did Bob's Burgers, because it seemed like and for one thing, they'd already covered like Family Guy. The Simpsons isn't great with
And
it. Simpsons has been around for a long time.
They have trans characters, and they're really awesome.
Well, that's the thing,
Marshmallow.
is that going back though, so the introduction of for
Marshmallow.
one thing, they're transvestites in the beginning.
That's true.
And that's the issue, is that only one seems to be like a trans person. The others are transvestite streetwalkers, just kind of cross-dressing.
But they exist too.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean, there's a lot of transvestites
it's very
on the East
positive,
Coast.
but full of, some of the things were really a reach, and I kept trying to tell myself, well, you're biased. You love the show, but then reading the comments, lots of great discussions for a YouTube comment section. And they're like, even the stuff that you can kind of point out, with it being problematic or whatever you want to say.
Right.
For one thing, this episode came out in 2011, so fuck off. And also, and even that has been improved over time, because Marshmallow, like the biggest recurring actual trans character, they decided, we need to have a trans person voice this character, and it's a different voice than it was in season 1. I was like, I never even thought about
That's
that.
good to know.
And Bob's Burgers is the best. I mean, it's just.
But they progress just as people progress in real life. So if they made something problematic, they always learn from it. They're
just
such
like how
a
Bob
tolerant family
learns.
too.
Yes.
Bob learns, and they go through their things
and plus,
and stuff. And
I
then
mean, Gene is practically a gender fluid queer icon at this point.
Yeah,
he's the
like
funniest 11-year-old boy. Yeah,
and pansexual probably when he's older, like not interested really.
Is what a lot of
or
people's
asexual.
takes on it, the
Asexual.
opposite, yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Not maybe pan, but yeah, asexual. Kind of like what's his name in BoJack? Todd.
Yes,
kind of like that. Like, but yeah. But really like musical.
Yeah,
and
let's get together
Gene's
and
funny,
do our
and
first YouTube video essay, and we'll be comparing Todd from BoJack Horseman and Gene from Bob's Burgers.
Gene Belcher.
There's something there that you could stretch into 48 minutes for a YouTube essay.
They'd be friends. They'd be friends if Gene was older.
For sure.
Well, they'd still be friends.
They'd have
Todd's kind of a childish.
They'd have their spats, they'd have their arguments.
Yeah.
But they're both loving people at their core. The biggest difference is that Gene, of course, loves his mother, and Todd has a very tumultuous relationship with his parents.
But he was homeless.
Yeah.
when you first meet him.
Bring it
So-
back around.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everyone is stupid except me.
We're making connections
Boring. No.
here. Yeah, let's just talk about two shows that not everyone watches.
Boring.
But two shows that people should.
Yes.
I don't. Natalie and I were talking about how people hate adult cartoons, and I'm like, man, BoJack, I've cried on some of those episodes. They're so deep, and Bob's Burgers too. It's a little more lighthearted, but for sure,
great.
I've had little tears in my eyes just from how cute it was. Like the Christmas one, the recent Christmas one, I mean, with Louise. Louise heavy episodes sometimes can be good, and the most recent one with her Amelia Earhart.
The season finale is Louise heavy. It's and they've really set up an infrastructure, like a foundation where they can really push it to be sweet, sappy, saccharine without being corny. Because
and it makes you really appreciate you love them, and then you think about your own family. And my relationship with my daughter is what I think about. Like they're so close, and I'm so close with my daughter, and I know you think about yours.
That's what happened to me watching a fucking Simpsons episode a couple weeks ago, and it was the end. It was the end of Lisa's wedding. That's a classic episode. It's like the first time they jump forward in time in The Simpsons. It's funny and all that, but the end, and it was Homer and Lisa, and they're holding hands and walking off at the end of the episode, and the way that Lisa's talking to her dad, and I was sitting there watching it with my daughter, and she turned and I was like, oh, this is so good. She's like, oh my God. She's like, what's wrong with you? Yeah.
She's like, fuck marriage. Boring.
She was like, my dad's a loser.
I don't want to be a divorcee like him.
Yeah. What, are you going to movies by yourself?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I think
it's
the
just
only
the ability
time
to
I watched a movie by myself
emotion.
was when I was like 17 or something, because maybe I was older than that. I forget when that came out, but I went and watched Borat in the theaters by myself. It was the second time
I've only
watching
seen
it
parts
too.
of it.
And oh, really? Oh my God, that movie's
I've seen
incredible.
parts, and I'm like, it's it's been a long time too, because that's an old
something
movie.
came up. My friend's like, I'm not gonna make it. I was meeting up with him, so his apartment was locked.
Man, I'll just go
and
inside.
I was like, well, I'll just go to a movie. And I was like, and so I just went and saw Borat again, and couldn't stop laughing. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. I like going to I like being in the movie by myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to talk to anybody.
See, you're sounding like that
They're
guy.
like, this boring loser.
Like,
the older
nice
I get,
nobody
the more
bothers you.
It is. Although, being anywhere alone as a female, people tend to bother you, but that's another thing, actually.
Emily, you're attractive.
Yeah. People
no one knows
bother
it's on a
me all the
podcast, all
time.
right? Yeah, we're not running fresh and fit here. No one can see you.
I definitely don't have a voice made for radio, we'll put it that way. No.
People are always bothering me. Oh, God, I thought you had two eyes. No.
I was born as a baby, just to put it in reference for you.
Psychotic,
when I was
deranged, cultist, liars.
But
I love being all those
yes,
things.
And that's why we're on the left, because where is it? Stupid.
On the right.
Oh, because
the left maximizes evil.
I have most of these in alphabetical order, and then I realized,
forget what you name it?
No, I just realized I forget the alphabet. So I'm like, gosh, where is? I was like, oh yeah, P comes before R. So there's a lot of R's in here.
But I really have to sing it in my head, like PQRS.
Wow. It's just because there's so much RM Brown.
Head bonk to individuals. Sounds like you're pretty into this, buddy.
Well, that's another episode on the books.
That was a really nice one. Thanks, Inane Blather.
You're welcome, RM Brown.
You're
we
welcome.
appreciate you.
I know I'm a lot more boring than Natalie. I don't.
Nuh-uh.
I know a little bit about politics.
I think you talked
and
more
I
than
have
she
my views,
usually
but
does because that's the thing. We just have to keep cycling people in so that I'll shut up sometimes. No.
I didn't want to smoke beforehand because then I'd just be like, right on.
Right.
All I did was drink caffeine and smoke my tobacco vape.
Yeah. What kind of
Caffeine
vape
and
you got
tobacco.
there?
This one's good. It's watermelon banana ice.
Is it an Elf Bar?
Watermelon banana
Elf
ice.
Bar,
Yeah.
classic.
The Elf Bar has the best drag on it so far.
I got an Elf Bar style ones. I get all these great cheap Chinese ones from a friend of mine, and it was really good. And it was a little heftier than an Elf Bar. Had kind of a grip to it. It wasn't totally smooth. I liked it. So I had a peach
well, there's
one.
these Orion ones too. I don't know if they sell them out here, but they sell them in Vegas. These ones are pretty good, actually. But
welcome back to the vape corner. Vape corner.
I know. I'm not promoting tobacco by any means.
It's
the only reason I got
it's
this.
nicotine. Although that's all a story, though.
like,
there's something about so knowing. Okay, we're already getting at an hour here,
I
but
know.
there's look into that.
I'm not promoting smoking, except
no,
weed.
but look into that. It's a pretty good example. Just a good highlighting of how consumer laws,
nicotine and tobacco goes hand
just in
hand,
general,
or?
how consumer laws really work. It's all just depending on lobbyists and what benefits the companies that get to the people who write the laws. Because there's little things like, and they get to say, well, it just shows that so many laws for consumer protection are just written as consumer protection as a cover for them trying to get someone more money. And like the reasons why, oh no, these vapes with synthetic nicotine or whatever, just pure nicotine, aren't allowed anymore. We don't know what's going on. Because so now you can only sell vapes if it's tobacco derived nicotine is the only way you'll do it. Geez, I wonder who was pushing for that law. Yeah, it's tobacco companies, because they're losing out in the vape business because people are buying fewer cigarettes and stuff like that. It's just, what a joke. Anyway.
Maybe you shouldn't have been a piece of shit in the first place.
But, yeah, I mean, it is something, it is a problem coming up. I don't know about all the health effects of vaping. I know that I feel healthier after I quit smoking tobacco, but it really, truly is way too appealing to kids. Just a teenager that we know
I just
got caught
to be...
vaping because someone... Because a friend who has an older sibling that gives him a vape, and it's like just giving someone fucking crack. Like, why are you doing that in terms of addiction? Like, God
but
damn
kids
it.
don't know that.
Yeah.
But Adele, my daughter, has told me about, like, oh, this person, their parent buys it for them. And I was like, what?
Well, because once they start...
even if it's a zero, that's a bad habit. Like,
well, that's just stupid if it was a
luckily,
zero.
I am not
it for?
addicted. Yeah. Luckily, I'm not addicted to tobacco or caffeine. No, caffeine, yes. Nicotine, no. But I like having it around. Yeah, not really. I used to work at a hookah lounge for years, and I loved smoking hookah, but I would smoke hookah bowls, like 2-3 bowls a night with my coworkers, and I'd go home and not want it. But
well, that's good.
For me, when I go out, because I did quit drinking as well. I haven't gotten drunk since Thanksgiving.
I don't have. I keep forgetting to put some applause on here, so because we'll just do that. It's a crowd.
Because we're just negative Nancy's. We have booze and we have laughter.
Like, you quit drinking?
That was, and I don't say this lightly, worse than 100 September 11th.
Anti-American.
Some of my decisions.
Ooh, yeah,
were.
it's just a few days. This episode will come out afterwards. So by the time you hear this, I will have been 4 years sober.
Yep.
So
that's what I remember. Congrats. And I will be a year at the end of this year at some point.
And the only problem
that made me
with
feel
being
healthier.
sober is that people think
boring.
I work at a bar and I tell people, I'm sorry, I don't drink anymore. And they're
so
like,
what do you do?
Oh, I don't. Yeah, like, what do you do? I'm like,
live.
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm like so much happier and healthier, and the longer I go without it, the less I want it. And there are days for sure where I'm like, well, it feels nice. Like, it sounds nice to get drunk. And then I'm like, no, I don't want to be drunk. It's more like having something social to do, which brings me back to this vape, where I still go out, but I need something to smoke on or whatever.
Yeah, it's about the social aspect that is the hardest part. And that's why, non-alcoholic beers are great. I like it. That's the thing. I
have
like
found some
beer.
really good ones.
I like beer.
Yeah.
I enjoy drinking beer, as Supreme Court
After
Justice
a while.
Kavanaugh said.
Yeah,
that's why.
And I like tequila.
Boofing non-alcoholic Guinness, through my butt at a party.
Oh, I just saw that the other day. I have found non-alcoholic hef.
You know, it was funny
in Vegas the other day, and it was.
I
good.
finally, I was given non-alcoholic beer as a gift. It was really nice. Mom got me a couple different kinds, and then but then it was Guinness, and I was like, oh, I'm a hater. I don't like Guinness. I never liked Guinness.
Stouts
I
anyways.
love stouts. I love dark beer.
They're so
and
heavy.
That's why I hated Guinness. I was like, sorry, I got hooked on like microbrew American stouts. They're all really good, and I never liked Guinness. And then I honestly finally opened a non-alcoholic Guinness because I used it in a marinade. I was like, I gotta use this somehow.
Oh,
and then I just drank some out of it. I was like, oh, I like this more than regular Guinness. I liked the non-alcoholic, but I was like, this is good. Maybe I've just gone too long without having a stout. I don't know, but it was pretty tasty.
Yeah. I found I really like ginger beer.
Ooh, yeah.
So then I have the person I'm dating, he's a really, really great bartender. And when I go see him at work, I have him make me mocktails.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, do something with ginger beer. And they have all these homemade syrups. So it's really great there getting mocktails. And it's just
I haven't had a ginger beer yet this summer. That's what I would always have starting out when I was first went sober, because I was like, I can't keep drinking club soda. I hate it.
Yeah.
But they had some ginger beers, even at the local bar here. Something real spicy and good.
Because you got to make
them tasty.
Moscow at least. You got to have ginger beer.
And
at the
so
bar.
they're like, you just want this by itself? I'm like, yeah, I want to drink something.
Yeah.
But
I need something.
But what sucks is that I had to stop doing that because I just didn't like it, because one of my drinks of choice that I drank a lot was Jameson and ginger. I had that all summer, and I was like, now I just want Jameson. The brownest of the brown liquors.
Sometimes I think that like drinking would make me more social. Obviously, people use that a lot.
Yeah.
So
I just do drugs. I just take kratom.
So do I.
I just take kratom and then go to
know what
hang
that
out.
is, but
yeah, it's just
me,
a legal for now addictive drug. It's great. I like it. So.
People are so shocked when they're like, well, what do you do? Because obviously the American people have to do something,
crazy
right?
When you step back from it.
It is crazy. And then the way that people that are drinking really push alcohol and others is something I don't do to any of my customers. If they say no more, I don't try to upsell them. I'm like, we get a lot of customers. I'm not going to try to be like, are you sure not another round of shots? You're not puking yet.
Yes.
So
exactly.
I don't do that. But everybody will be like, well, what do? You have to do something. Is it cocaine? I'm like, nope. That's kind of the reason I quit drinking. A lot of the reason. So
yeah, and it's like
I was like, I do shrooms, and they're like, oh God, that's so much.
No,
and I'm like,
not.
well,
it's like,
because
have you ever been really drunk?
Abused it.
Have you ever been really drunk?
Yeah.
That's insane. If you just look at it objectively.
Yeah, I'm like, have you ever driven home from here after drinking a bunch of alcohol? It's like Natalie always says. That will never happen to me
Natalie's
again.
Always saying, she's like, you just look at the side effects. When you're reading side effects of like drugs.
It's the frontal lobe is alcohol. So it's like your decision making and your coordination. Yes. It's like, then what are you doing?
Well, you just imagine.
You're not making good decisions and you're falling over.
You just imagine people doing
home.
drugs and how it's like, oh, there's gross like side effects, or like just imagine, if you're doing opiates or something, it's like, oh yeah, but you can get itchy, you can be sleepy, all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, but people drink and it's a normal thing, and it's like, just look at people stumbling around,
and it's
slurring
legal.
their words, vomiting,
and getting cancer.
Vomiting. It's like, I don't do drugs that make me fucking
and you
vomit.
can die. You can, you can die from alcohol overdose and
from withdrawals.
In my days of being a CNA, and that too, I've worked at a drug rehab, and in my days of being a CNA, I saw somebody with alcohol-induced dementia, and he was 40. He was in his 40s.
Sad.
And that's
And you
scary.
only reach that
That's
point
scary.
drinking that much if you survive.
Alcoholism.
Like,
exactly.
because
he was in like a senior home.
Oh my God.
He was in his 40s. And that's really terrible. So I'm like, have you ever done shrooms to where it's like you don't take, you're not eating 4 grams at a time. You're an idiot. So it's like, I sit there and the more I do it, the more content I am when I'm not doing anything. Right?
Yes.
When I'm just going through my
You
day,
can
I don't
be
feel
in
like
the
I
moment.
need a bunch. Yeah, and I have like whatever I need, and I'm like, I don't want to do them right now. I can go through my day, and I'm productive, and I've been painting bookshelves and setting up my new home, and it just, the more I do it, the longer I can go without doing anything or going out or whatever. So
and pretty soon you'll just be
it's
back at the
been-
movies by yourself. So
I'll be at the movies by myself, but you know what? I'll be happy about
yes,
it.
just like that guy.
Yeah.
It's that's
I think I have
the
seen
way that
Red
that
with Adele.
article is written. It's kind of funny. The satire is about how weird it is
to be content,
to see someone else just being alone, you know? And it's like, because, and it's tough. It is, I mean, we're social creatures, sure, but like culturally, it's
Some
just
of
an
us
odd
aren't,
thing
though.
where
I've
it's
always-
just like, where it's like,
Yeah.
what a fucking pathetic loser. And it's like someone just enjoying doing something by themselves, you know?
I've always felt that humans were really kind of more like birds, and the fact that they're all really
And we have
different
hollow
species-wise.
bones.
Some of them, we can fly. Have you tried it? Just eat some shrooms. No.
Get some shrooms and a lot of alcohol. No.
Yeah, they're all different. They some of them mate for life, some for a season, some for a second. You know, some of them are solitary, some of them go around in flocks.
I usually, when I
And-
mate, it's only
but
for a second. No.
It's for a second, maybe
It's
two
like a
at the
bird.
most. You know, yeah. Some raise their babies together and some apart, and some are the dads, like penguins or
Yeah,
albatross. There was an albatross dad. Yeah, so people are more like
like on
birds.
The
and
Rescuers?
Stop trying to confine them into something that you think they should
Yes.
be. Where it's like we don't do that with birds. If I don't want to be married for life, or I don't, maybe I want a kid by myself,
Yeah.
or I think
wanna
that
go
they're
see
more
Red
like
2.
that. They could be solitary. Yeah, they can be solitary, or they can be around in flocks. Like they're what they want to be. I've never been more content with my life than now, than after I decided to quit drinking. And
There's no
You're like, but
happiness
pretend
allowed on
it's
this
applause.
podcast. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's
You're like, no,
anti-American.
I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm content. We're like, okay.
I'm
all
content.
right. You
Happiness,
watch yourself.
that's a stretch.
Yeah. You're like, I'm not
Happiness
happy. I
is a
live in
stretch.
America.
Exactly. Well, America's better than most countries. Which ones? Which
Yeah.
first world countries?
like,
We
I
do
guess
not
if you
have
just-
Norwegian
If
immigrants.
you just drop me in Cambodia, maybe I wouldn't be doing very
you
well.
see,
But
yeah, and you don't see people from Germany or Sweden or Denmark immigrating here for a better life or migrating.
unless they've got
However you
a
wanna look
bunch
at
of
it.
fucking money already, and they want,
And they usually have more than we do here.
yeah. Oh man.
They have time for vacations. This is hustle culture. What are you doing on vacation?
Yeah, I'm taking a vacation next month. I'm gonna go down and see you. So,
Yeah.
but the only vacation I'm allowing myself and that I can really pull off is 2.5 days. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, let's wrap
Yeah.
it up. Let's wrap it up, B.
It's
Why
just
don't you
a
wrap
special,
up that gavel, B?
special episode.
Okay. Yes, special episode. We'll have another one coming up too. So be on the lookout, and just remember.
Mental illness is when you're right wing.
Shut the hell up, bitch.
Okay. Yeah, time to wrap
Both
it
good
up.
things
Shut
to
the
live
hell
by.
up, bitch.
Yeah, I need to go.
I need to see a dick.
So I got something to do. But
That sounds good.
okay, yeah, and not a penis. Like I just have to meet up with this guy. I can't stand
An
him.
asshole.
Yeah, and not an asshole.
No,
yeah.
a dick. Yeah.
He's a real dick asshole. But dick asshole. How the hell are you?
It's Richard Bum something.
Richard
Circle.
Bum something.
Richard Bum
Oh,
Circle.
is that,
it's dick asshole.
Are you finished? No, I'm just getting started.
Surely you can't be serious.
You're right. I'm not. God damn it. Okay, I love you. Shout out to Aaron Brown.
Love you too.
Shout out to Natalie. Even though she won't listen
For
to the
leaving
show,
the room.
so we can shout her out now. Shout out to Wendy.
Nobody
and
likes
Zach
to listen
and
to
Kelsey
themselves.
and everyone. So except me,
Yep.
I'm
Zach
used to it
sends all
now.
his
So
love,
I listen
too.
to the show. I just listen to it now.
I'm going to listen to 2 minutes of this and be like, oh yeah, I'm just boring.
No, it was a good one. I
That's
appreciate
all I'm
you.
good for.
And I love you.
And I keep forgetting to like every episode, so I'm going to go back and like every single episode. So
Yeah, and
enjoy
give
those
us a review on
notifications.
Spotify. That's nice too.
And
I mean, a
your
rating.
upcoming Instagram.
Yeah, we'll see when
Yeah.
that happens.
A raving review rating.
Yeah, 5 stars, please. Oh, and shout out to Discontent Provider. I still have to add that into a previous episode. That's the podcast that shouted us out. So
That's why we cannot represent happiness. This is a discontent
no, that's
provider.
the other podcast. And he seems pretty happy.
Yeah, discontent, contentment.
Yes. Okay, all right, let's go. Love you, bye.
Yeah. Okay, love you, bye.